as the same as Senator Preston kind of intimated. We're funding these record cadet classes, and we don't seem to be able to capture minority cadets, and they don't come through the program, and they're not getting on the street, and that's a real concern for me and the Senate Black Caucus as well as the House Black Caucus. So, and I've had the conversation with the director as well. How do we even get the word out on a more mass appeal, a broader spectrum, that the ISP, they're hiring, they're going through their recruiting cadets, so that they can even apply. I get the traditional method, but there has to be a pivot to try to bring in other non-traditional, so to speak, cadets, or people interested in becoming cadets. Can you speak to the marketing, the advertising that pivots away from your traditional, maybe your police, your municipal police headquarters, your sheriff's department? Because if they're not there to begin with, they won't know about it. So how are we getting the word out beyond those traditional resources sources that we're using?
So part of the cadet line fund that we're requesting money for does go specifically to recruitment efforts, and we've paid for those billboards in the Chicagoland area and other parts of the state. We are looking to send more current ISP officers to colleges and universities around the state, surrounding states, to talk to different athletic teams, which I think will bring in, will spread the word maybe to someone who didn't think that this was a career option for them, maybe isn't going to move on to professional level and didn't realize that this is maybe something that they'd be interested in doing, and wants to be a part of a team and can kind of relate to that. So we're going to look at sending people who are current state police officers and contact them and see where they went to school, what sport they played, and have them go reach out and kind of be an advocate for the ISP and explain how they went from being a student athlete to a state police trooper. But really, we're open to trying anything. We are currently in discussions with the state police recruitment section, and they have been coming up with some different ideas of how to spread the word and coming up with new ways to increase our recruitment efforts.
Thank you for your answer to that. And I say the next, I kind of say it tongue in cheek. Your board, it's the board. You don't have to be you don't have to be only a resident in Springfield, do you, to be on the board?
No, just Illinois.
Okay, because I'm looking. All your board members are from Springfield, and while I love Springfield and I love coming up here, I'm from the Metro East, and so I would like to see more diversity on the board.
They're listed as the headquarters in Springfield. The Merit Board's office is in Springfield, but our chairman is from the Chicagoland area. Our secretary, Ms. Carrera, she's from Chicago. Dr. Raymond Garcia is from the Rockford area.
So the residents on here just list where you're headquartered at.
Correct. Yeah, the Merit Board office in Springfield.
Because I thought that was glaring to me. I'm like, okay, all right. Any other questions?
Mr. Chairman, just one more.
Go for it.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to ask. We just recently, we just heard from another state agency, and I'm wondering if, for instance, the Illinois Department of Military Affairs, as you've heard, they do the Lincoln Challenge Academy. are there interagency collaborations that are taking place that may aid in recruitment efforts, particularly again where there are large populations of African Americans, and sort of building off what Chairman Belt was speaking to, sort of non-traditional ways or approaches to being able to reach towards these populations where there may be large buckets of folks who may not know about ISP opportunities?
Yes, sir. We can certainly reach out to other agencies and have the state police coordinate with other agencies around the state and see what they're doing, and see if we can increase recruitment efforts that way. As of right now, we only have an interagency agreement with the state police, but we can absolutely look into that to see if we can broaden the pool.
Well, no, I appreciate that, and I offer that as someone that'll, is committed to working with you all and aiding in any way that I can to be able to continue your efforts and diversifying, that agency. But I'll just close by thanking you all for the work that you are doing. I know that it is sometimes arduous work in this environment, this political environment, with recruiting folks to serve in any law enforcement capacity. And so I just want to thank you so much. I, want to commit myself to continuing to work with your agency.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Mr. Chairman, I had one follow-up question, if I may.
Go ahead, Senator.
Director, in the recent questioning and your board with a vacancy, the makeup of your board, are any of your board members African American?
Yes, sir. 2 are African American currently on the board.
Just trying to plug that vacancy with maybe helping out the director or the agency with the comments of my 2 fellow senators. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Lewis. Director Sin, I don't think we have any other questions. Thank you for your time. Chief Legal Counsel Dykstra, thank you. And I think that's it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Our next order of business is Senate Bill 4079, the Supreme Court Historic Preservation Committee's budget request. With us today from the Supreme Court Historic Preservation Committee budget team, you're fine, is Executive Director John Lupton, Director of Administration Karen Everham, and Director Lupton. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Chairperson Belt. Vice Chair Villavalem, Spokesperson Lewis, members of the committee, I want to thank you for giving us the opportunity. Well, my colleague happened to be on vacation this week, so I'm here by myself.
Okay.
My name is John Lupton. I'm the Director of the Supreme Court Historic Preservation Commission, and we are requesting level funding for FY27. The mission of the Supreme Court Historic Preservation Commission is to preserve the history of the Illinois judicial branch, and much of our work focuses on preservation and education. And I'd like to just quickly highlight 4 of our ongoing projects. So a couple of years ago, we received a federal grant to digitize Supreme Court case files. The grant has concluded, but the work actually continues. We now have scanned nearly 8,000 case files from 1818 to 1865, and we've uploaded them onto our website. We are currently working with an army of volunteers to edit case summaries to make those cases more easily searchable. Second, a companion project to the digitization is our conservation project, and it may be less sexy, but it's no less important. We have 2 conservators on staff who are doing the work of preserving case files after 1865, and this is really tedious work. It includes hydrating, flattening, repairing, and deacidifying documents. So once those records are ready for scanning, then our digitization staff will take over. Third, we continue to manage large group tours at the Supreme Court building. We mainly work with middle and high schools in order for them to see the Supreme Court building, as well as our new learning center that promotes civic education. And the number of tours and visitors to the Supreme Court building have increased more than 65% from the previous year. And we are still in the process of creating a pilot program and seeking grant money to assist with an Illinois government tour where high school and middle school students can tour the governor's mansion, the Capitol, and the Supreme Court building to get a complete overview of the three branches of state government. So this grant that we are seeking will cover the school's cost of traveling to and from Springfield. So lastly, we assist the Supreme Court in managing their Riding the Circuit program, in which the court travels to various locations in Illinois to hear oral arguments. The court was at Western Illinois University in Macomb just a few weeks ago, and we had more than 500 people in attendance to watch arguments in two cases, one about the Safety Act, and the second was about public schools supporting bus routes for private schools. So I want to thank the committee, as usual, for allowing me to testify here today. And if you have any questions for me, I'll be happy to try and answer them.
Thank you, Director, for your introduction. Senator Lewis, do you have any questions?
I am good this time, Mr. Chairman.
You are good.
Yes, so thank you, Mr. Director.
All right.
Thank you, Senator.
Do we have any questions from any other member of the committee? Mr. Director, I think you've done you had to have done a great job on your introduction. You've answered all their questions. Again, I history major here. I think I told you this last time. I just want to commend you for what you do, the preservation and all the work that you do to document and memorialize the history. Is I don't know if people really understand the impact and gravity of what you all do. Quick question to the side out of that is, do you charge admissions or is it free just to
It is free and open to the public. So,
Wow.
I certainly invite you and your committee members, to come over to the Supreme Court building, and I'll be happy to give you even a behind-the-scenes tour if you'd like.
Okay. I'll reach out to you and say, really, I'm going to set that up before session is over. Thank you. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you, Senator.
Next up, our final order of business is Senate Bill 2865. Senator Halpin, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I am here remotely, and I'm not sure if the witness or proponents are in person in the room. If Mr. Jarmer is there, but I will give a brief introduction.
They're here.
Wonderful. So, Senate Bill 2865 is an initiative to try to bring some parity to the compensation for our probation officers and supervisors. They are a critical function in our criminal justice system, reducing recidivism and making sure that folks that are involved in the criminal justice system are able to be reintegrated and put back into society as we all desire them to be. So, for many years, the reimbursement level of the state to our counties for these probation officers has been inadequate. And again, this bill, and Mr. Jarmer will go into more detail on it, but this bill will allow us to reach that adequacy and make sure that these positions we're able to recruit for these positions and retain folks already in these positions to make sure they can continue to provide this valuable service. So with that, I would turn it over to Mr. Jarmer.
Really quickly, clerk, please add Senator Feigenholtz to the roll.
Chairman Belt, Minority Spokesperson Lewis, members of the committee. My name is Mark Jarmer, and I represent the Illinois Probation and Court Services Association. With me today, I brought two of the chief probation officers, one from Clinton County and one from Morgan County, and they'll introduce themselves in a moment. But I just wanted you to hear directly from those that work in the trenches what this bill is about. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Belt, Vice Chair Villavillam, Minority Spokesperson Lewis, and committee members. My name is Carla Stonecker. I'm the Chief Probation Officer in Clinton County and the current president of Illinois Probation and Court Services Association, which represents 1,900 members and over 3,000 probation officers serving in all 102 counties. With me today also is Todd Dillard, the immediate past president of IPCSA, who you will hear from shortly. Probation officers are a highly skilled and professional workforce serving under the chief judges. We are required to have a minimum of a bachelor's degree, complete 40 hours of basic training, and annually complete 20 hours of continuing education as approved by the Supreme Court's Judicial College. Today, probation is the most common felony sentence in Illinois, with approximately 68% of individuals convicted of felonies being placed on probation instead of prison. And it works. Probation reduces recidivism and costs far less than incarceration. Currently, Illinois spends roughly $89,000 annually per inmate for incarceration, while probation costs roughly $3,800 per year. Yet despite actively supervising the majority of this population, over 100,000 individuals, probation receives only about 7% of the state's total funding for jails, prisons, and probation. Let me say that again, 7% of total funding of jails, probation, and prison. The Illinois Probation Officers Act established that the Administrative Office of Illinois Courts shall reimburse counties the amount of $12,000 annually for probation officers hired prior to April 1st, 1984. These are known as salary subsidy positions. This figure was set when the statutory minimum salary for a full-time probation officer was $17,000 per year. That meant 70% of an officer's annual salary was reimbursed. This reimbursement amount has never been increased, nor has the minimum salary for probation officers in the Probation Officers Act. If today the average annual salary for a probation officer is roughly $50,000, $12,000 would be only 24% of their salary. This leaves $38,000 per year per officer for local counties to pick up and pay out of their budget. I will now turn the floor over to Todd to provide a little more detail on the impact of SB 2865.
Thank you, Carla. Good morning, Chairperson Belt, Minority Spokesperson Lewis, and members of the committee. My name is Todd Dillard, and I'm the Director of the Morgan County Probation Department in Jacksonville, and I'm also the immediate past president of the Illinois Probation and Court Services Association. I'm here today in support of Senate Bill 2865, sponsored by Senator Michael Halpin. At its core, this bill is about strengthening a probation system that's already one of the most effective, cost-effective, and impactful parts of our justice system, while giving counties the ability to redirect local funds for desperately needed services in those communities. When I started in the field 30 years ago, probation operated more like a brokerage system. We were ruled by limited information, we used limited tools, and we had very limited services. But today I'm happy to say that we do so much more. Probation officers now drive the delivery and types of services our clients receive. We conduct validated, comprehensive risk needs assessments that allow us to better understand the individuals we work with, and the things that drive their behavior, the risks they pose, and the factors that we can target to reduce that recidivism. Probation officers are now trained to deliver core correctional practices that we use to build skills with our clients directly. In our offices around the state, we facilitate cognitive behavioral programs like moral recognition therapy and thinking for a change. These are evidence-based programs that are designed to address the thinking patterns that lead to individuals to justify their behavior or rationalize decisions or sometimes see themselves as victims of circumstance. Probation's role is to hold people accountable while helping them change their thinking and their behavior. And this matters because in the field of probation today, we're seeing higher risk individuals, significant mental health needs, substance abuse issues, domestic violence issues, and they're doing this all while they're trying to deal with their own complex trauma that they deal with. So this is why Senate Bill 2865 is so important. As Carla stated earlier, counties are responsible for a significant portion of the annual salaries of over 700 salary subsidy probation positions throughout the state. This bill would convert those positions into fully funded grant and aid positions under the fiscal management of the Supreme Court and the Administrative Office of Illinois Courts. Realizing the fiscal condition of the state, we introduced this bill with a 1-year delayed effective date, initiating the bill in state fiscal year 2028. So we're not asking for this money today. Secondly, this bill utilizes a phased-in approach wherein 20% of the salary subsidy positions would move into full funding each year. The result of this would disperse the $30 million price tag of this initiative over a 5-year period. So in closing, I'd just like to say this bill would allow counties to reinvest local dollars into services. And based on my experience and conversations I've had with probation directors across the state, we're constantly looking for ways to bring more services into our communities, especially in the rural areas where access is limited. So Senate Bill 2865 is not just a funding change. It's an opportunity to invest in something that we know works. Probation builds stronger, stable, and safer communities. So with that, thank you for your time and your consideration.
Senator Lewis, I know you're on deck. Before I turn it over to you, I just want to make a comment to the probation officers here. As stated earlier, I was with St. Clair County from 97 to 2013. And I know what you do. And you guys stated it perfectly and so eloquently what you do. You make sure that the community's safer. You make sure that people don't go back, right? You break and reduce the recidivism rate. And when you do that, you save taxpayers. And that job is not easy. You're always tensed up. I carried a caseload that was over 100. And at any given time, one of them could, or more than one of them could have offended, reoffended, or violated, and you always stay tensed up. And it's you don't necessarily get recognized for the work that you do, but it's just as important as any other public safety official. And I just wanted to use this time in this platform as a former probation officer just to tell you thank you for what you do. And Senator Halpin, we're roommates, and you never mentioned this bill to me. I don't understand. But with that being said, Senator Lewis, I know you have your batting glove on, so you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. To maybe this is to the senator or to those in the room. I recently completed service on the County Compensation Task Force, which addressed issues for our countywide elected officials, and probation officers were not included, nor were they included in the original Safety Act that brought in public defenders, sheriffs, others in this space. Can you address possibly why, or if you have any idea, there was lack of inclusion?
But when it comes to the countywide officers and county compensation, my understanding is that these positions are not, or that task force was, I think, primarily focused on the elected positions that are county level elected positions, but perform some significant state functions and are mandated to perform some state functions. So I presume that's why probation officers were not included. These are not elected positions, as you know. They're day-to-day, rank and file positions. And so I think that's probably, and I'm just speculating, but I think that's part of it. Another reason is that Given the quasi judicial nature of the office, I think it is a separate bucket than, let's say, your county reporters and your auditors and clerks and so forth. So I think that would be the two reasons.
Okay, and I thought so, but it sets up my next question. As a result of that committee work, we went to a tiered. We recommended a tiered system based upon size of the county, as well as having counties fund portions of the salaries. It was a blend between state and county so that there was skin in the game. Here you're going for 100% state funding. Is that just the ask because, or is there a logical why we're not having the counties continue to participate?
I will let our witnesses go into further detail, but right now we do have a system where the state pays some and county pays others. There are certain positions, though, where we are currently state-funded positions, and I'll let the witnesses correct me if I'm wrong there. And this is trying to bring parity between those two different employment situations. Mr. Jarman.
Yes, I can speak to that. The Probation Officers Act does have a tiered approach to salaries, but more importantly, so we have several types of funding for probation officers. We have fully funded grant and aid. These positions were created back in like 1985 and 1984 when counties recognized that there needed to be more probation officers, and the state did not have the funding at the time to fully fund those. So they were put into the Probation Officers Act to be partially funded by the county. And as I said at the time, the base salary was $17,000, and the counties only had to reimburse $5,000 of that. Now they still are reimbursing about $38,000 minimally. And as we stated, that money, if the state fully funded that, which is mandated by the Probation Officers Act, that local funding could go back into the communities to provide services like mental health, juvenile justice, diversion, domestic violence, and substance abuse.
Yeah, understood. Could versus shall are two different things on how our counties want to spend money. And I should preface, this has nothing, in my opinion, my commentary does not mean to undermine the hard work done by the current employees and officers. The work is extremely important. I'm just more the mechanics of the financial aspects. You talked about a ratio there of 17,000 initially with 12,000 reimbursed. We're going for 100% funding. You know, if I look at it versus that'd be what, approximately 66% funding from the state. Is that just the solution 100%? We're not obtaining the original 66% funding?
Yes, that's the solution, would be 100% funding. However, one of the things this bill does is it spreads it out over 5 years and delays it a year. And AOIC is working on a method to implement that. And one of the suggestions was a approach where a certain percentage would go up each year. So the 12,000 would maybe go to like 15, then 20, so that the state would gradually pick up that and the counties would get the money back on a gradual basis over those 5 years.
And who maintains responsibility for, salary control or, raises, merit raises? It's much easier to spend someone else's money versus your own. So how does the salary control mechanisms work?
So it's ultimately controlled by the chief judges and then the administrative office. So the probation departments with their chief judges put in for requests for raises or salary jumps, and they present that in their annual plan to the administrative office. The administrative office, if they approve that, writes it into their budget for the next fiscal year.
And then the state would be subject to mandatory payment, what was a local control decision, correct?
Yes,
Is
and
this
the
something that's-
administrative office is ordered by statute already to provide those fundings.
Senator, if I could just jump in
Yeah.
just a second. I will say that there is a cap. There are limitations in terms of the pay raises that could be requested that have been built into that. And then there is criteria that has to be met. As Carla mentioned, the chief judges have to sign off. Like, so as an example, I mean, we all do performance evaluations and those kinds of things. I mean, there is a certain amount of, people can't, directors could not just arbitrarily decide that they wanted to give a 10% or 15% increase to themselves or to their staff.
And what happens with the fringe benefits, which everyone absolutely deserves? You know, I don't know if these are pensionable positions or other benefits perhaps that are well deserved.
Yes, and those stay with the county. The county pays the fringe benefits, and they contribute to pensions. None of that would fall back to the state.
And one final question, is this GRF funding or is there other funds available outside of GRF?
That would be general revenue funding.
Okay. Thank you, Senator, for your bill. That's all my questions, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Committee members, any questions?
Chair Belt, Edley Allen here.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead, Senator.
Thank you, Chair. First, thank you to Senator Halpin for bringing this forward. And I want to echo, Chair, what you had said about saying thank you to those that are giving testimony. And I can't tell if there's anyone in the audience, if you have probation officers there. But if there are officers in the audience, I'd like to say thank you to them as well. In the testimony, one of the witnesses said that they do so much more. And I wanted to highlight that, as well as another statistic that they stated in their opening that, and correct me if I wrote this down wrong, that it costs the state, or costs us $89,000 to hold someone incarcerated, as compared to $3,800 on probation. Is that accurate?
That is accurate, yes.
Okay. I just wanted to highlight that statistic, and thank you for all that you do. That's it, Chair.
Thank you, Senator. Any other questions from the committee? Senator Halpin, close us out.
I want to thank the chair and the members of the committee for the time. I think at the end of the day, I understand that this bill will cost resources, but this is a case where it is an investment, and in the long term, adequately paid and retained and recruited probation officers will save the state money in getting folks that can be reintegrated into society through probation back into society, and saving us those costs that Senator Edley Allen just mentioned on incarceration. These are hardworking people that largely enjoy the job, and they want to be able to do the job, but in some situations simply can't afford to do that job. We shouldn't be asking them to do all the work they do without being fairly compensated. And again, these are for those officers that, sometimes working, side by side by other officers that are being fully covered by those state grants right now. We're just looking for that type of parity. So I appreciate your time, and hopefully as we move forward, we can get this provision included as part of our budgets going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator, for bringing the bill forward. If you have me on, I'll jump on as a co-sponsor with the bill. I'll end as I started with you guys. I thank you for what you do, because I know what you do. You show up to graduations, you go to baseball games, you go to birthday parties. You do so much, right? And your job isn't to lock people up and send them back. Your job is to actually keep them out. And so all the things that go on a minimus or court order, you have to go through and make sure that they're doing it. And so it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. But thank you for coming in person. Thank you for your time, and thank you for bringing this legislation forward. Thank you. Seeing no other business in front of us, the committee is adjourned. Thank you.